Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to AP Live for European History. My name is Todd Beach. I teach AP European History at Eastview High School in Apple Valley, Minnesota. That's a suburb of Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's a beautiful day today in Minneapolis. The sun is shining, but I'm going to tell you, it's chilly. It's cold here today because apparently there's a polar vortex hitting most of the northern part of the country. So we have pandemic, murder wasps, and the polar vortex. It's all just happening. So bring it on, I guess. And this is Katie.
Okay, so I'm Katie Lancey. I teach at Coral Gables Senior High, which is a suburb of Miami, Florida. And it is stunningly beautiful here today. There are no polar vortexes. We're having this gorgeous day. The blue angels are flying over today at 1 o'clock. So I'm sorry about your polar vortex, but we have gorgeous weather. And we have an amazing last day for you guys. We're really excited. We're really excited.
Yeah, we have some special guests we're going to introduce in a minute. Let's start with our learning at a glance. This is where we've come from. And I want to just bring this to your attention because, oh my gosh, we got a lot of emails yesterday, people turning in DBQs. So over 1,000 so far. And it's clear that there are a number that were first time practicing, which is great. But I wanted to share with you that there is this archive of all these videos. So Katie and I started back on the 25th of March, and we started doing this 20th century work. And then on about April 3rd, or on about there, it was announced what the format of the exam was going to be. And then Katie and I started tailoring our skills-based instruction to match that part of the exam. And so there was a first practice on April 10th. But if you're looking for more practice or videos to look at strategies, it's these feedback days and the DBQ practice days that would really help you. So there was a feedback. We had samples on the 13th. Then on the 17th, we did another practice and did some structure with that, so you could see that. And then the feedback on the 20th, another practice on the 24th, and feedback again. So if you see the video archive in the corner, you can always go to those videos and take a look at the practice and what we did. Then we had our fourth one on May 1st, and then here we were this week. So we did feedback and for that DBQ on the 4th. And then there's a number of you writing in with lots of questions. You know, it's the first time we've done this exam in this manner and this. So there's going to be lots of questions, and we've been answering those on these videos as well. There were lots of you with me on Tuesday as we virtual proctored that DBQ. And then we went over on the 6th, again, more strategies and reminders. This is a good day to look at that video, to look at the strategies and reminders and the feedback from that. You were with Katie yesterday and doing the 30 Years War DBQ. And then we have feedback for you today and celebrations, special guests, and your exam is next week. And there's the times. Okay. And Katie's going to take you through our lesson for today.
All right, so for our lesson for today, we have, as Todd said, these wonderful guests. We're going to have them introduce themselves. We're going to go over the feedback from the DBQ that many of you wrote and emailed in yesterday, especially highlighting some of the problems that we saw, a lot of common problems that we don't want you to make the same mistakes on Wednesday. Our special guests are going to talk about their experience with the AP reading that's going to happen in June. And then we're going to play a little low-tech trivia. Educators versus students. I am so lucky to have 2 of my students on today, and Todd has 2 of his students on today. So just a little fun to end our week. And then we're going to end with words of support after these 6 or 7 weeks of being with you with this community of learners. So we've been so excited. So let's start off by introducing our special guests.
So just take a look at this screen. You can see where they're from at different parts of the country. And then the screen's going to go away and they're going to pop up and they'll introduce themselves. And you're going to all have to unmute yourselves as you do this.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jen McNabb. I am a professor of history and head of the Department of History at the University of Northern Iowa. Go Panthers.
You're up, Stephen. You have to unmute yourself. You still have to unmute yourself.
Okay, we could come back to Stephen.
You can mute him, I think, can't you?
There he goes. He's ready.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Stephen Mercado. I teach at Chaffee High School, proud home of the Tigers. We're located about 40 miles due east of downtown LA, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're up, Lise.
Hi, I'm Lise Knott. Good morning. And I teach at McGill-Tooling Catholic High School in Mobile, Alabama. And I've been a teacher at McGill for the past 5 years, but I've been teaching AP European history since 1992. Go Yellow Jackets.
All right, Michael.
Hey everyone, I'm Michael Holloway and I teach at Bainbridge High School, and that's on Bainbridge Island in Washington State. We're about a 30-minute ferry ride west of Seattle. I got the Olympic Mountains behind me here facing west, and I've been teaching this course for, well, since I think 1997, so 23 years, and excited to be here. Thank you.
I think we're at
Enrique.
Enrique next.
Good morning, everyone. And yes, I'm Enrique Sanabria, and I'm an associate professor of history at the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I specialize in Spanish history and have been teaching Western Civ since 2002, but even before that as a graduate student at the University of California, San Diego.
What are you wearing today, Enrique?
I've got
Who are you
my
representing?
University of Mexico sweatshirt.
Oh, okay. We're at Colin next.
Hi, my name is Colin Baker. I'm in Southwest Virginia, wearing my shirt because I'm also Scotland. I just cattle.
So Colin, we're having a hard time hearing you. You're breaking up a bit. So we'll go over to Jen Foray.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Foray. I am in the history department, there we go, at Purdue University in West Lafayette, Indiana. I teach History 104 there, which is our equivalent of AP European History. But don't tell anybody, the AP European History is actually much more difficult and much more challenging. I'd love to see some of you at Purdue. I look forward to seeing you in some of our classes and seeing you around and more later on. So yes. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody. We have students with us as well, and we'll introduce them in a little bit. We also have producer Sarah with us today, which we're really excited about. But let's get into our samples from yesterday's DBQ. Okay, so our question was evaluate whether the 30 Years' War was fought primarily for religious or primarily for political reasons. Please take a close look at that word evaluate. If you were not on the question yesterday and you're looking for the question, you can find it at this URL. You can also find the question that we did on Tuesday there as well. When we use the term evaluate, that task word means that they want you to look at the evidence. They have outlined for you two positions, religious or political, and they want you to make a claim. And you're going to see documents that would support either claim. That's pretty common in this kind of a prompt. So we want you to make a claim and pick a side, take a position. All right, so we'll get into this first one here. This is contextualization and thesis. This response is from Harini at Central Bucks High School South in Pennsylvania. Really nice response. And it's going to earn the point for contextualization, and it's going to earn the point for thesis. So let's take a look here. The 16th and 17th centuries were periods of great change for Europe because the Protestant Reformation occurred, creating great religious change and turmoil. Several people were discriminated against because of the religion they followed, especially the Protestants. Occurrences like the St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre helped convey the hatred that existed between Catholics and Protestants. but agreements like the Edict of Nantes and the Peace of Augsburg were put in place to help settle down the tension. However, bad blood still existed between the two groups. With the formation of a Catholic and Protestant leagues, tensions continued to rise. The tension finally broke out in the 30 Years' War, which was a violent conflict based off of the religious sentiments between Catholics and Protestants. It was mainly fought in the Holy Roman Empire and also had political sentiments regarding hatred toward the Habsburgs from other nations. That's really, really beautifully done. If you're wondering, oh my gosh, that seems like so much, you don't have to do that much, but this begins broadly. It brings our reader into the time period, and then it starts to narrow down with some really specific information. Edict of Nantes, Peace of Augsburg, and just tells this historical development, and it gets to this argument. And here is the claim. The 30 Years' War was primarily a religious conflict. So they've taken a position, they're making their claim, considering its goals of maintaining the integrity and superiority of the Catholic Church. However, it had a political streak with the concept of maintaining power. So we have the position, primarily religious conflict, and then we have a line of reasoning, considering its goals, maintaining the integrity and superiority of Catholic Church. And then what we have here, if they provide a potential qualifying argument, okay? However, they're kind of giving this nod. It had a political streak with the concept of maintaining power, but I want to point out to you that they've taken this position. They're not trying to argue both sides. They're taking this position, and that's really important. Do any of our guests want to say anything about this?
Looks great. Fantastic.
I'm sorry it wasn't done by a Brainbridge student, Mr. Holloway. This one's from Central Bucks High School South. We'll go to our next one. This one's from Minneapolis Southwest in Minneapolis, from Ariel. And you can see this is a shorter response, but still really, really well done. When Ferdinand II was crowned emperor of the Holy Roman Empire in 1619, he forced citizens of the empire to become Catholic, which contradicted the Peace of Augsburg, signed in 1555, which granted religious freedom. Other European nations were less than pleased with Ferdinand's actions, and in Prague, people threw Ferdinand's representatives out of the castle windows to show their opposition. That triggered the first battles in the 30 Years' War, called the Bohemian Revolt, which started in 1618. Bohemia made alliances with states in present-day Germany, while Ferdinand II leaned on his Catholic and Spanish nephew, King Philip IV. So really nice broader historical event development that's going to bring us into that, lots of specifics, right? And then we're going to make the claim. Although the 30 Years' War began over a religious conflict, the war was primarily fought for political reasons, because Sweden, France, and their allies took actions against the Habsburg family for their own political gain. So we have a position. It's opposite the one that we just previously showed you. Previous one was about political reasons. This student is taking the one for political. The previous one is about religious reasons. This student is taking the political angle. And so we're getting lots of questions from you because you're seeing the claims that can argue both sides, and you're seeing documents that support both sides. And so many of you are wondering, well, do I just argue both sides? And we're telling you, no, this is what you want to do, is take a position and make your claim. And then we have this line of reasoning, because Sweden, France, and their allies took actions against the Habsburg family for their own political gain. So we're definitely going to earn the point for contextualization. We're definitely going to earn the point for thesis. Any comments from our guests?
Excellent.
Okay. Here we go, Katie. Oh, this is mine still. Sorry.
It is.
Response earns the point for contextualization, but does not earn the point for thesis. And this one's a bit problematic. This one, Katie and I were on the phone last night talking about this one, but we'll walk through it, and I'll tell you share our thinking with it. We're going to say it earns the point for contextualization, but minimally. So towards the early 1600s, Europe saw the rise of new religious practices such as Calvinism and Lutheranism. These new religions would bring a Catholic spiritual revival across Europe. With disagreements over religion, the 30 Years' War would begin. So there is enough there to earn a point for contextualization. It brings the reader into the prompt. And we've got some specifics. We got this kind of Catholic Reformation counter-Reformation argument, Calvinism, Lutheranism, they're bringing this in. Here's their claim. or here's the response, then I don't think it makes a claim, and we're going to talk about that. Although the war would initially start over religious tension, the war would soon evolve into a political war as countries sought to establish their power and status and increase nationalism. So, you know, it is describing kind of an accurate historical event, but is it evaluating whether it was political or religious? So this would be one that would be our question leaders and our sample selectors for this question would probably really do a lot of talking about and trying to figure out what do we do with these types of responses. We're not at the reading, and this is the sample I pulled, so I'm just going to make this claim that it would not make, it doesn't make a claim. It doesn't take a position. It doesn't really evaluate. To me, it just describes a historical development and therefore would not earn the thesis. Some would say that's rather harsh. But that, again, that would be what the question leader and our sample selectors would really have to hammer out and figure out if that's going to make it or not. Katie, did you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, and so what we really, some of the things that we're pointing out today is not to make it hard on yourself. Take a strong, obvious position and have a line of reasoning for it. And then I really like that first sample because it's okay to have that qualifying argument. A lot of kids have time to work that argument into an alternative view of evidence, but to really make sure that you are taking a firm stand with a line of reasoning. Yeah, I just think that we saw so many that don't do that.
Okay, thank you. Katie, this one's yours.
Yep, sorry, it took a minute for the slide to change so I could see it.
Okay.
Okay, so this is from Prachi in Novi High School in Michigan. And I'm showing you this because I want to contrast it with the next slide, because we're seeing as we moved into this practice week and the numbers of essays that you guys started to send us really multiplied by a lot. We're seeing some common mistakes and we want to make sure you don't make them. And Prachi did not make a mistake. So Prachi starts off in the yellow with a nice topic sentence. We've been hammering that the whole time we've been doing these lessons, that the 30 Years' War was fought and ultimately won by foreign powers who sided with Protestants in hopes of limiting the Holy Roman Empire's political power. So his argument in his thesis was that it was a political conflict, and this topic sentence has backed that up. And then the document is a Swedish High Chancellor disclosed, and there's some attribution there, that concerning Gustavus Adolphus of Sweden's intentions of joining the 30 Years' War, he wanted to gain territory in the Baltic regions and regions he believed were being oppressed by Germany. And then in the green, we bring it back to showing how that document supports the argument. This clearly describes how Adolphus entered the war for more than just to help out fellow Protestants, but also to gain some territory for his kingdom. So this is the structure that Todd and I have kind of been showing you throughout this whole process, a topic sentence in your body paragraph that talks about the argument that you have, describing the content of the document, and then really bringing it back to show how that description supports an argument, because we're looking for documents that support an argument. This is what the point is for this. And then if you go to the next slide, Todd. This is, if you guys want to go back, if you're looking for some examples and you go back to the video we did from Wednesday, this is a little different than the response that didn't get an argument on Wednesday, but it's the same kind of idea where you're just not going far enough. So there is a topic sentence here, and the topic sentence says the 30 Years' War is known for being a religious war, and there are many pieces of evidence to back that up. And then the author went in to talk about what the pieces of evidence were by using what was in the source. So the first piece of evidence is from document 1, which is a letter from the Holy Roman Emperor to Bohemian Protestants. The second piece of evidence is document 2. Document 2 is a report to Elector Maximilian from Bernard Baumann. These are both documents that clearly explain the reasons the 30 Years' War started. Nowhere in this paragraph does the person describe or explain the content of the documents themselves and relate them back to the argument. There's no description here. There's just mimicking what is in the attribution. And so we see that a lot. I was really surprised how much we saw it, along with the example that I showed you on Wednesday, where students are only describing the content of the document, but then never explaining how the content relates back to an argument. So we really want to move you into those points where you're supporting an argument with these documents, and you have to be really intentional about doing that. Anyone want to add anything here? Anyone? No? Quiet?
No, I agree with you. Yeah, you've got a much, I mean, your description is perfect. We're just laundry listing documents there.
Yeah. So, and unfortunately, we saw a fair bit of that. So this is, again, I'm giving you something very similar to what I showed you on the DBQ on Italian unification on Wednesday, because we're seeing a lot of this. So this paragraph starts with, again, with a topic sentence. We like that. Goes on, the problem of religious toleration was a primary cause of the 30 Years' War. Document 1 is an open letter to Protestant subjects in Bohemia by the Holy Roman Emperor Matthias. In this letter, he assures his subjects that we have no intention of rescinding the agreement of religious tolerance. That's right from the document itself. He explains that the people have no grounds to raise army or to justify arming because of, and then he moves on to the defenestration of Prague and is expecting to get some outside evidence for that. And I want to remind you guys, we're seeing that so much that you cannot, the rubric says it cannot be just a mere phrase or reference. So there needs to be some intention of developing how that relates to an argument. So I saw this over and over again going through essays yesterday. We saw it on the last one this week on the Italian unification. So please stop and be intentional. If you remember, Todd provided a lot of stems that you can use to really show that there's outside evidence. They're not required. And I showed an example of someone who did it really well without any kind of stem, but just mentioning the defenestration of Prague is not enough. And if you move to the next slide, I'll show you an example where this certainly is enough. So again, I'm hammering this format because, guys, it's a really good best practice. The 30 Years' War was primary caused by religious reasons. This can overall be seen in the fact that people, particularly Protestants, wanted the freedom to practice their own faith and were willing to fight for this. This can be seen in the very roots of wars in an open letter to Protestant subjects in Bohemia by Holy Roman Emperor Matthias in 1618. In this letter, he states that they will be able to continue to practice freely. So again, there's the content of the document, bringing it back to the argument. The fact that the emperor needs to reassure his subjects of religious tolerance shows the religious nature of the war. Now we've moved on to that purple color. In fact, it's important to consider that prior to this letter, the conflict was sparked by the defenestration of Prague, where Ferdinand's representatives were thrown out of a window because the people of Bohemia were concerned that they were going to lose this freedom after seeing the policies of their Catholic king. That is a well-developed use of the defenestration of Prague with the very same document. So this is a really nice, it's not just a mere mention. Jennifer from Sheridan High School in Wyoming was intentional about explaining what that piece of outside evidence was. So again, just wanted to contrast those two responses, take a minute and not just a mere mention, not just a phrase, to actually develop your outside evidence. Anyone want to comment on that before we move on?
Yeah, I'll just say that's a great reference to defenestration, Kitty. I think Jennifer
Yeah.
did really well there. Good job, Wyoming.
Yep, there we go.
We're going into sourcing now. This is from Adriana from the Academy of the Holy Names in Albany, New York. This is a really nice piece. One piece of evidence that supports the claim the 30 Years' War began for political reasons is, so we have our topic sentence that establishes the argument, the Holy Roman Emperor Matthias's letter, that's the attribution line, in which he writes formally for those under his reign that belong to the Bohemian state. He declares that his subjects will no longer be able to practice their Protestant faith freely, as they were able to do in the past instances. Although he assures these subjects they will still have other rights, religion will no longer be chosen by the individual, but enforced by the governing body. Nice description of the contents of the document. And in the green, we have our sourcing. Holy Roman Emperor Matthias has this point of view because, as the Holy Roman Emperor, he is trying to maintain control over the smaller pieces of his empire. Then this purple piece could be considered part of the sourcing as far as historical situation, or a reader could say, I think what they're doing here is evidence beyond the documents. So another Holy Roman Emperor, Charles, dealt with dissimilar issues in the mid-16th century as he was trying to maintain religious peace in tumultuous German states while also fighting against France in the Habsburg-Valois wars. So that, you can have a choice there. Am I going to give that as part of this sourcing analysis or as evidence beyond the documents? Then we have an explanation bringing us back. So in Emperor Matthias is taking away the rights of the Bohemian people to practice their religion freely. He is exercising complete control over the people and exercising his political power as a means to limit conflict, particularly that which had occurred in Bohemia and started the first phase of the 30 Years' War. So we've got this bringing it back to that original argument. And thank you very much for the document citation. I really like that when they're constructed this way, readers like that. It's tied together really nicely and the argument really flows. I'm going to go to our next one. This is from Sherry at Red Hook High School in New York. Again, a really good sourcing. Topic sentence: one reason that the 30 Years' War was fought primarily for religious reasons is because the Catholic Church wanted to maintain its significant power in Western Europe. Then we have this attribution line in Bernard Baumann's report to Elector Maximilian of Bavaria, and then a description and an explanation in the yellow. He describes the Jesuits' efforts to help Protestant areas by delivering sermons, holding feast days, tending to the sick, and even offering to convert townspeople. He even declared that some 1,600 people had been freed from heresy. This demonstrates how Catholics truly believed that the Protestants were evil and should not be allowed to worship freely. So Catholics supported the 30 Years' War to prevent Protestantism from spreading. And then here's our sourcing in the green. However, it is important to note that Baumann is a Jesuit because Jesuits are often quite religious and devoted to eradicating heresy and spreading the one true religion, Catholicism. This is important because, as a group, it is likely the Jesuits would be more involved in the war's religious aspects due to their religious points of view. And thank you again for the document citation. So really nice job by Sherry at Red Hook High School in New York. And then here's one that is a little problematic, and I'll have Katie weigh in on this too. I think this response attempts audience analysis, but does not earn the point. So we don't have a topic sentence to start, but it begins as seen in document 1. Matthias's letter had an audience of all the Protestant followers to enlighten them on what his plans were during this war. So much of this is from the source line of the document itself, because it says who Matthias's letter is to. So it's really not a sourcing attempt for audience. And then in the yellow, we have this description. Matthias's letter was appointed to illustrate that he was going to stop at nothing until the people of Bohemia got individual rights they deserved. This brownish color, this sparked the Bohemian Revolt, which lasted from 1618 to 1620 and was a result of religious disagreements. There is a kind of a reference to that. I'm not sure it's enough to get points beyond the document or the evidence beyond the document. And then this is a sentence that links us finally back to the argument, thus illustrating that the 30 Years' War stemmed from religious reasons. So part of this is an opportunity to learn a little bit, because this is the whole paragraph. This was the whole paragraph from the essay. And I would really like to have the topic sentence establish the argument first. I think it's back to what Katie said about being intentional, because now we're stuck in this middle space about, okay, what is the student intending? Are they intending to tell me that this is outside evidence? Is it linked to this? So I just found it a really problematic sample. Do you have anything you want to say, Katie?
No, I agree with you. And so many students are doing this, and even some of my own are struggling to move past describing the document itself for sourcing and just to really live in that source line and have analysis with that. So I think that we're seeing that with a lot of students, that they're attempting the sourcing and they're just not getting to where they need to be.
Yeah. Let's get into complexity. And I have one for you. So on Wednesday, we showed 2 different ways to achieve complexity. One was the qualifying argument. One was discussing a similar situation. And here's a third way to get at complexity. This is from Genoa at Grace International School in Thailand. This is the third body paragraph of the response. It is part of the argument. It is certainly more than a phrase or reference. And so I like what the sample is doing. It's a little different than I've seen others. The 30 Years' War true political motivation is also shown in the aftermath in the actions taken by European powers after the war. After the war, surprisingly, the allies of the Pope began to lower the power of the Holy One. Religious toleration, a value was seen impossible during the war, began to spread in countries like Prussia and the Netherlands. Also, countries like France and Spain lowered the power of the church, but gave religious power to their absolute monarchs. The absolute monarchs even competed with the Pope to have political power. The Italian city-states also began to gradually become more hostile to the papacy. The power of the Catholic Church was not restored, but betrayed by Catholic nations. This shows that the true intention of the leaders of Europe was political rather than religious. When religion was useful for social support, they used it. But when religion had caused serious destruction, monarchs began to refuse the power of the church. If they were truly religious, they would have been continuously loyal, I think she means, to the Pope, rather than lowering his political power. So that is another way to get at complexity. It certainly demonstrates a complex understanding of historical development to the prompt. It's nuanced because we're analyzing multiple variables. We're certainly talking about effects after the fact of the 30 Years' War, and that's going to earn the point for complexity. So I think we've given you a lot of pretty good samples. I hope that's been helpful. I want to remind you, you can go back to Wednesday's video as well to look at those samples where we did a full sample. But right now we want to move on, and we want to talk to our special guests. They're going to talk about their roles and experiences with the reading, and we'll bring them back up, and they'll unmute their video and unmute their audio. And I think we're starting with Jen Foray.
Hi, I have been a question leader at the exam reading for the last few years. I've done LEQs though, so this year I'll be working obviously with the DBQs on one of the questions as an exam leader. So yeah, I've done a lot of the questions recently for the LEQ on the 20th century. Which is great because that's my area of focus normally. I am also on the exam development committee. I've been doing that for the last few years. And I've also spoken in both Todd's and Katie's classes. Katie's this year and last year or 2 years ago in Todd's as well. So that's a little bit of what I do. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jen. Enrique.
Yeah, hi. I have I was trying to think how long I've been involved with the AP College Board, and I think this might mark 15 years. And I did start as a reader and was asked to be a table leader for a couple of years. And for the last few years, I've been a question leader, mostly on short answers.
Thanks, Enrique. We'll go to Lise.
Hi, believe it or not, this will be my 21st year to be involved in the AP European History reading because my first year was in the year 2000. So, so far I've been, a reader, a question leader, a table leader, and this year I'm serving as an exam leader. And I, like Jen, have mostly been working on LEQs. So this will be a little bit of a different year, but I'm very excited about it. And participating in the AP reading has just given me a chance to work with so many different professionals. And I think it's really helped my students a lot to know what they need to do to pass their AP exams. So thank you all for this great experience.
Thanks, Lise. Michael.
Hey, yeah, I've been involved with the reading since about, I think, 2003. So this is my 17th year. Reader, question leader, exam leader. And I've been, lately, I've been involved with a short answer question, which we actually do a lot of the distributed scoring. It's called distributed scoring. And so the last 4 or 5 years, I've been working with readers across the nation who are scoring a lot of the samples, but just on the short answer question. So it's a little bit of a trial run of what we're facing now, since we're all going to be scoring in a similar format this year. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also work a bit with the exam development with a lot of the people here on your screen. So yeah, really happy to be here.
Thanks, Michael. Jen McNabb.
Hi, everyone. I have the tremendous honor of serving as the chief reader of the APEH program. So Michael gave you a lot of titles that he's held. I've held more. It is a real pleasure to tell you that this year I am assembling a team of 750 high school teachers and college faculty from around the country who in June will all be dedicated to a singular task. And that is evaluating your essays. I am in the second of a 4-year term as chief reader, and I have all kinds of professional duties and responsibilities as a college administrator, but this is one of the very best things that I get to do. Your work inspires me, and the work of your teachers inspires me as well. So thank you for letting me be part of your European history experience.
Thanks, Jen. Stephen, you're up.
Thank you. I've been involved with the College Board for about 20 years now. 20 years ago, I started out as an AP US history reader for 2 years, and then I got pulled over to AP Europe leader, and then eventually a question leader. I also had, I was on the test development committee in the 2000s and co-authored the Teacher's Guide to Teaching European History with Jessica Young. And I just want to say that, you know, being a reader and a leader has really been the greatest professional development experience in my career. You know, every year we get together at Kansas City, hundreds of us who are passionate about history and passionate about teaching our students. It's hard sometimes for people to understand why teachers would teach all year long reading essays and then go fly somewhere else and read essays for 2 more weeks. It sounds like a really nerdy thing to do, but it's like AP European history camp, you know, and it's just such a phenomenal experience. And any teachers out there who are contemplating becoming a reader, I would say absolutely do it. You won't regret it.
Thanks, Stephen. We're at you, Colin. You have to unmute yourself, though.
Yeah, so I don't know if my video, you can hope to hear my audio better. Is that working?
It's a little bit better, yeah.
Okay, good. So I want to just introduce my school again, because I can the math doing our board for class groups. Aisha has Carol.
Oh dear.
I've been a question leader on the DBQ for 3 or 4 years now, doing it again this year.
Great. Thank you, Colin. All right. We are going to move on and have a little fun. So we're going to play low-tech trivia. It's going to be the educators versus our students. Our students have been so patient waiting for us to get through this. So in a moment, I'm going to bring our students back up, and I want you to unmute yourself and introduce yourself. But here are their names and where they're from. They're from Katie's school and from my school. And so if our students will unmute themselves, and we'll start with Rachel, and just introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a sophomore at Coral Gables Senior High.
And we'll go to you, Jose, but you need to unmute. There you go.
Hello, my name is Jose, and I'm also a sophomore at Coral Gables Senior High.
Go ahead,
Hi.
Takina.
Okay, hi, I'm Jakina, and I'm a junior at ECU High School.
And I'm Thor, and I'm also a junior at ECU High School.
Awesome. We're really glad you guys joined us. Thank you for representing your schools. We're going to have a little fun. So I hope everybody has their signs ready, because we are going to play a little low-tech trivia. All right. So it's going to be a little clunky. We have to go back and forth, but it's going to happen. It's going to be good. Here we go. Here's your first question. Who released the hit song Señorita with Shawn Mendes last June? Was it A, Camila Cabello, B, Miley Cyrus, C, Billie Eilish, or D, Ariana Grande? Pick your choice and hold it up to your camera. Oh, we're waiting for Elise. Okay.
All right,
It's
you know,
A, Camila Cabello.
she's a Miami girl, so you know that my Miami students knew that one.
Who
Great
created
job.
this
All
quiz?
right. Katie.
All All right, for the next question, this is true or false. Nala, Simba's best friend and love interest, is voiced by Rihanna in the Lion King remake. Is that true or false?
We're all over the board.
We are.
I think we're ready for the answer, Katie.
Okay, I don't know the answer, and I forgot.
The answer is
Sorry.
false. It was Beyonce.
Yeah.
It's Beyonce.
That's my fault. I was supposed. My iPad unplugged. So
Amateurs.
Here we go. What woman had an important, this one our historians I'm sure are going to get. What woman had an important role in liberating France from the English invasion? Was it A, Cleopatra, B, Queen Victoria, C, Joan of Arc, or D, Catherine the Great? Find your response, hold it up to the screen, and what do we see? We see C, that's correct. Joan of Arc, very well done. Couldn't fool anybody on that one. And producer Sarah is doing really well. I don't know if you guys are noticing.
she is.
I'm trying my best.
Okay, so where will the horse be taken? Oh, I'm not even going to pronounce this right. In
Little Nas X.
biggest hit. Is it to his grandparents' house? To a farm, B, C, to the doctor, or D, to the Old Town Road?
Put up your signs.
Okay, Jen
I
McNabb
like
has
Professor
true.
McNabb. She just went with true.
I'm pretty sure we have a consensus here with D.
It is D, to the Old Town Road.
Sarah, you know why? Because Sarah's so young. She's closer to our students' age.
I didn't know the answer until you put D up, and then I was like, oh, I know that song.
This one I'm certain Colin is going to get correct. What national team won the 2018 World Cup? Was it A, Croatia, B, Germany, C, Argentina, or D, France? Put up your sign. We'll take a look. Oh, we're a little all over the board here. All right.
Oh.
It is not Scotland, Colin. It is D, France. I know you'd like for Scotland to win, but they didn't. So,
He's like
all
the
right.
Ferguson of this quiz.
All right. So if everyone can see the map, what country is shown in this image? Is it A, Russia, B, China, C, Canada, or D, the United States? I'm kind of hopeful we're at 100% here. All right.
Oh, we
we're
are.
good.
Look at that.
I was pretty
done, you
sure,
guys.
Todd. I was pretty sure we were going to be at 100%.
All right. What geometric shape is Post Malone singing about in his hit released back in August 2019? Is it A, pentagons, B, circles, C, squares, or D, stars? What geometric shape is Post Malone singing about?
We lost Sarah.
Yep, didn't know that
It is
one.
B, circles. Circles is correct. I think we're almost
At
done.
least you know I'm not
I
cheating.
think that was it.
We are done.
That is it.
So that's it. You're playing educators versus students. Great job, great job, great job. Thank you, students, for playing. Well done. I knew you'd do well. So thank you so much. We'll go back to our special guest now. What message do you want to share with the AP students as we approach exams? And I think we are starting with Stephen Mercado.
We are starting with Stephen, yes.
Well, yes, obviously this is a very difficult time in our lifetimes, unprecedented. And students, just know that we will get through this. We are this together. You've got people out there who care about you, family, friends, your teachers, your administrators, and just lean on them. There's no need to do this all by yourself. You've got a support system out there. You are loved and cared for, and you're going to do great next week. The fact that you're here on Todd and Katie's College Board show shows that you've made the decision to dedicate yourself to really reviewing for this exam. And if you do everything that they've told you to do, you're going to do absolutely wonderfully. So good luck, and you're going to do great.
Thanks, Stephen. We're at Jen McNabb.
You're muted, Jen.
So I wanted to share a little anecdote. Almost 30 years ago to the exact day, I took my AP exam and scored a 5. I'm just putting that out there for the record. My classmates and I went to a local college, and when we got there for the exam administration, we were informed that there were no tests for my school. My teacher marched off with the proctor, and suddenly tests materialized. We were able to take the exam after all. So my message to you is that you've got a tremendous support team in your corner, in your teachers. I know, like Mrs. Brundage, they are in there fighting for you. I wish you tremendous success next Wednesday on the exam. I also hope that you've had a wonderful journey through AP European history, and that you will come back for additional European history when you get to college. It's a wonderful, wonderful subject. Many of us have made our careers out of studying European history, and we'd love to have you aboard. So take care, be well, and make sure to knock it out of the park next Wednesday afternoon. Except for our friends joining us from Hawaii, it will be morning for you.
Thanks, Jen. Appreciate that so much. Colin, you're up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say quick shout out. We had you took an example from Genoa from Thailand before. I want to give a quick shout out to the American school in Switzerland. This is Mr. Daniel Kirsch. He comes every year, flies all the way from Switzerland to the AP reading. So I want to give a big thanks, just like Jen alluded to there. Some students are getting up really early in the morning, or like in Europe, late at night, or Asia, or different parts of the world. So just congratulations to you guys for sticking at it, all your international takers of the exam. Yeah, so tomorrow is a historical context is Europe Day. It's the 70th anniversary of Schumann's Declaration. So it's an appropriate weekend to be having this event. And of course, today itself is VE Day. And I told my students first day of class, your exam will be pretty close to Victory in Europe Day. Well, today is Victory in Europe Day. So I wish you all next Wednesday on Victory over Euro Day. You go out and have your own VE Day next week. So good luck to everyone.
Great. Thank you, Colin. We're at Jen Foray.
Hey, everybody. You've done such great work this entire year. And I want to say that we see you, we acknowledge that.
Okay, I think you're up, Jen.
Okay. we see you. You may not know us, we may not know you, but know that we are rooting for you. And I do want to say that, yes, this is not the situation that you wanted, that any of us wanted. We know some of you are really, really struggling in less than ideal situations at home. If you're anything like me, school was always your safe spot for various reasons, and that's been taken from you. And we see you, and we see all the work that you've done until this point. You have a lot to be proud of. And I just want to say too, that unlike Jen, I did not get a 5 on my exam that I took in 1994. I pulled off a miraculous 4 that absolutely floored me, because I did what I now look at students doing and I laugh. There was an LEQ, this is the old exam. So it was very much like, who knows what's going to be on it? Like, there might be a lot of stuff that your teacher didn't even do. So the LEQ was asking about the Russo-Japanese War. It was one where I don't believe we had a choice. And I just decided to write about the Russian Revolution, because that's what I knew. So maybe I eked out something, I don't know. I am a historian to my heart. I love what I do. I love teaching history. I love European history, but I would be so happy for you to get to college, to take additional history classes, but also just to use what you've used in this class, what you've learned, put it into practice, and know that, like Stephen said, we're going to get through this, and you've done such great work getting us there. So congratulations, regardless of what happens next week, whether it's a 1 or a 5 or whatever, you're going to be great, and congratulations.
Thanks, Jen. Michael, you're up.
All right, well, I agree with all the wonderful things that have been said so far, and just add a few things here. One, on the practical side, I would just say make sure you get some sleep for any of your AP tests. With writing, it really matters. One of my other classes I teach is AP Psych and Psychology, and all the research on sleep, you got to get some sleep. And so I know you might be stressed, but definitely, start now. Just work on getting a regular sleep. And so do that. The morning of, get a nice breakfast, relax. I mean, there's not a whole lot of prep you can do the morning of. So just start to let it go a bit, breathe, do what you can to just relax and think about the happier times in the class. And I know tests are always stressful, but I think it helps to be a little more blissful and relaxed and trust that you know these things, and just, that'll really help to trust in yourself. Secondly, I'd say that, just to remind you that those of us that score these things, we see 115,000 student responses every year. And, we work really hard to train all the people scoring exams to really try to take a look at what the student's saying. I mean, we can't put words in the students' mouths, but we really look closely at, trying to make sure that even if the grammar got sort of slipped up a little bit, that we get the student is making this point. And so just know that there's a lot of compassion and understanding at the reading. We really work hard on making sure that you're under a time stress and all those things. So people scoring your work will work really hard at giving you that benefit there. And then lastly, I'd say, it's tough to teach a class that feels like it boils down to just a test. And I hope that you don't have that sense about the course. You had days, weeks, months, and even these last weeks, I'm really sorry it was such an awkward experience in terms of, stay-at-home stuff. But, you had a journey and an adventure, and all of us who teach this course at the high school level and at the college level and different specialties, we love what we do, and we want to inspire you to explore more, have your own adventures. And we hope we've inspired you to read, to watch films about this, to travel. And I'm super excited for all of you to travel abroad and have your own adventures. And I'm sure you'll get in that museum, look at that painting, and go, oh my God, this is this is, oh, I studied this. So just, you'll have these great experiences. You'll go right back to your phone or whatever and look it up. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's it. So anyway, best of luck. And shout out to my students too, if they're watching. We definitely miss you guys.
Thanks, Michael. You're up, Lise.
Hey, everybody. First off, I want to tell my students at McGill that I'm so proud of y'all. Y'all handled this distance learning situation so well. And your hard work and perseverance is really about to pay off with AP success. So, and you can do this. And please just remember all the great tips that Katie and Todd have provided. Prepare ahead of time by printing your rubric, draw out that plan that Todd gave you. I love that plan. So you'll be ready to prepare, have your document ready with your test ID on it. Make sure that you have a quiet area to test and your device is fully charged and get plenty of rest. You know what you need to do to succeed. So just remember, there is no substitute for victory. And we will celebrate those great AP scores on the first day of school with some ice cream. So I'm really looking forward to seeing y'all back at school next year. All righty. Bye, guys.
Can I get some ice cream?
Yes, you can definitely get some ice cream. I'll send you some virtual ice cream during the reading.
Okay.
Thank you. All right.
Enrique, you're up.
I'd just like to reiterate some of the points that people have made here. One of the things I can certainly tell you is that I'm involved with the American Historical Association's kind of thinking about doctorate degrees in history as being something that can prepare you not just to be a professor at a university or at a high school, but rather to have a way of employing your historical thinking skills, right? Your ability to think comparatively, to establish people and trends in context, to explain causation and to have a sense of change and continuity over time. Those great skills that your teachers have given you or helped you with over the course of the year will make you a very good history student if you pursue that. And history is a wonderful major that will prepare you not just for education, but it really is the type of preparation you will need for law or even business and marketing, right? The ability to kind of read a whole bunch of information, data, books, and kind of synthesize a convincing argument is something that's going to really benefit you in whatever career path you choose. So certainly do consider history at the university for your major. And then I reiterate Michael and Lisa's recommendation that you take care of yourself. It's a really kind of underestimated thing going into an exam. And I do tell my students, right, to take care of themselves, to eat well, right? Funyuns at 4 a.m. is not a good strategy for succeeding in the exam. So sleep as much as you need, bathe every day, or at least, spray some and we will get through this. Best of luck.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I think Colin has a message he wants to show on his screen. VE Day tomorrow, or VE Day today. All right. Victory over the exam Wednesday. Got it.
I'm going to say that Victory Day is also going to be May 13th, right? Because these kids are going to just ace that test.
Super. Okay, so for our special guests, thank you so much. Students, thank you so much. Stick around, but if you'd mute your screens and your video or your audio, that'd be great. And we will wrap this up. Thank you then, Stephen, to Jen, to Colin, Jen Foray, Michael, Lise, Enrique, our students. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. Really appreciate it. And now we have our shout outs. And we're going to start with producer Sarah.
Hey, everyone. I just want to thank everyone who joined us over the past several weeks. I know it wasn't the way you wanted to spend your spring, but I was happy to have you. I want to give a shout out to my alma mater, Manasquan High School in Manasquan, New Jersey. Go Warriors. So thanks for joining us over the past, 6 weeks, everyone. Thanks.
All right, and I gave this shout out yesterday, but I'm going to go ahead and do it again to my 230 amazing kids that are going to sit for this exam next week. Coral Gables Senior High, we are the Cavaliers. I am so proud of you. I am so glad that if this had to happen, it happened late enough in the year for us to get to know each other. I miss you so much. And I will look forward to seeing you when school starts. And I know that you're going to do so well next week.
And my shout out is to my school, Eastview High School in Apple Valley. We are the Lightning. Just similar to what Katie said. I miss you guys a lot. I miss my teaching partner, Mr. Vandenberg. I miss working with him every day too. So we're looking forward to the exam next week. We just wanted to say thank you as well. Katie has some final words.
I do. It's very weird to connect with a community of learners through these emails of you guys turning in your assignments, but both Todd and I feel like we did. So I'm assuming if you are still watching at this point in the video, you are one of those learners. So thank you. We hope that you found this helpful. Neither one of us really knew what to expect when we started this. This was the least comfortable format for me to ever connect with anybody, and I had to overcome that to do this. And so thank you. Thank you for being a part of that. And I hope that everything goes well on Wednesday. We're very proud of you.
And I'll just say, similar to what Jen Forey was saying, is that we see you. Every teacher, every student experiencing any type of frustration due to these circumstances, especially as it relates to teaching and learning, we know it's not ideal. Every student is also now having to take care of siblings at home while you're trying to study. Every student who knows someone that's been affected by this virus, we want to acknowledge our students that are fasting throughout the day while studying through this time of through the month of Ramadan. Every student who has been with Sarah, Katie, and myself for every video and every homework assignment, thank you guys so much. We miss you guys. And every senior in the class of 2020 experiencing this kind of disappointment, but accepting this alternative experience that you are having, it's going to make you better people. And I want you to recognize, or want you to know that we see you too, okay? And thank you so much for allowing Katie, Sarah, and I to study with you over this time. Have a great day.
All right, be well, take care, kick butt on Wednesday.
Can we dance?
We can dance if everybody wants to do the DBQ dance.
Let's do the DBQ
Oh
dance.
Are we for real? I'm not doing the DBQ dance. I'm with Rachel. Rachel's like, no, I see her.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Katie.
Well, Michael's got his own version going on.
Oh my goodness.
Hilarious.
Great.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
See y'all later.
Thanks so much. Todd and Katie, well done.
Great job, guys.
Bye. Thanks for putting all the money.